welcome to our talk. Thank you all for being here. I know being in person is a new and wonderful thing, so it's good to be back. Thank you all for joining us today. We really do appreciate it. And with that, let's get started. So start here, go anywhere. This is one of our new mottos from a Unity perspective. Basically means we're here for you for the long haul. At least that's my opinion anyway. We're here today to talk about fulfilling your multiplayer game's potential. I'm joined by two wonderful guests that we will introduce shortly, but I'm sure some of you already know who they are. But starting with myself, I'm Larry Rye. I head up the solution architecture team for Unity Game Services. Most importantly for me, I'm a massive gamer. Like ridiculous gamer, a tech enthusiast, an engineer, and best of all, I'm a bit of a geek. I was going to put a picture of me with my Iron Man helmet on, decided it probably wasn't the best thing. But I've been in the industry for 6 years now. I've been lucky, or very lucky, to be part of over 100 multiplayer game launches. And some of those titles never achieved more than a single-digit player count, which is very unfortunate given the massive investment that goes into these games. But then on the other hand, I've seen multi-million concurrent player CCUs, or concurrent players, as I said. The challenge is fulfilling your multiplayer game's potential is complicated. So we're going to talk about some of that today, and we're going to hear from some of the fantastic stories from the guys that I've got with me around their journey as well. So everyone in this room, from my opinion, you are builders of worlds. These worlds come in forms of video games or experiences, and many different engines underpin them. Unity is one of those engines as well. And we underpin those worlds with a myriad of engine-agnostic services. And that's the most important thing I think that I would like to convey today is, as much as like my team and my group is part of Unity, we are engine-agnostic. We give you a strong foundation to build your live services games on top of, while allowing you to focus on the fun and also focus on that intangible thing, which is how do you bring players back for just one more go? So this is a very real statement. Success is not guaranteed. There are many things that you can do to improve your chances of what I like to call a boring game launch. You have to look at the end-to-end player flow. You have to think about how each service scales independently and harmoniously as one to basically facilitate all of your players that are coming into a game. Bottlenecks are sometimes very hard to see until you have live players in the game. So synthetic testing, basically testing the end-to-end communication workflow, finding out which individual component doesn't scale well is one of those things that's really important on the run-up to your like alphas and betas, technical tests. Those are the places for you to be able to find out where those bottlenecks are and then try and crush them. Testing in that sense is always really, really important, but it's difficult to execute on because you don't normally have a large player workload in order to do it before you launch. I said boring launches, but you really do want your game launches to be boring from your guys' perspective, not from your players, obviously. You want it to be boring in the sense that everything should go to plan. You've scaled everything up. It's all really cost effective. It just works. Quite often or not, it does not go that way. So it's really important to focus on finding which elements you can control, because there are a lot of unknown unknowns when it comes to launching your game, and every game is different. Many of the games that we are looking after today, and indeed in the industry, are switching to that free-to-play model. They're adding seasonality to it as well. But these living games and the worlds that you build within them are phenomenal. They're also complicated to operate at any scale. We've created an ecosystem at Unity. This is, again, this engine-agnostic tool set, which you can use like all in, like I'm going to use every service, or it's completely a la carte as well. So you can just pick and choose the services that you need. They play very well with others, as it were, so third-party tooling, but also with those tools that you build in-house as well. This slide is a lot, but basically we've called this platform UGS, or Unity Gaming Services. The ecosystem brings you all of the services that you need to bring your multiplayer experience to your players. And a lot of those elements, or jigsaw pieces as it were, they're there to empower your games, from matchmaking to monetization. I mean, there's 18 different services on that slide, so I'm definitely not going to read them all out. But There are more in development as well, and I'm really excited about the new community and safety and toxicity features we're bringing to the market that should be announced relatively soon. When we think about maximizing your game's potential, the back-end services and infrastructure and orchestration required to power your next sort of experience, they all need to be battle-tested and provide as a near flawless launch experience as possible, not just for your players, but for you guys as well. And of course, you can't create an ecosystem like this all at once. So we've got services at different stages of maturity. But what I can say is we power some of the biggest games today with this tech or components of it. And now we're making it more accessible as well. We're adding self-service. We're adding consumption-based billing for a lot of these things. So you can use them, you can test them out, you can see how they fit into your workflows rather than having to commit straight from the beginning. And the nice thing as well is, like, from my team's perspective, the solution architects, we will still be there to help guide, inform, look after best practices, all of those type of things as well. A lot of attention is focused on the game's launch in that period of the game's life cycle, and rightly so. It's the combination of all of the work that you guys have done to bring that game to bear. The challenge is you only get to launch once, very few chances to relaunch and be successful, and you don't want it to be game over on day one, hence the Pac-Man screen in the background there. So it's really difficult to recover from if you don't have all of the expertise and all of the testing done in place to begin with. Oops, I double-clicked aside. One of the things that I'm always particularly focused on, is player experience. Being a gamer, I want to log onto that game that I've just bought. I want to play it. I don't want to be met with server queue or servers are down or some other annoying message. So you want players to be able to pick up your game. You want them to have fun with it immediately. And then you want them to bring their friends. That's how you get your extended acquisition and retention. And you want them to come back for more. The only constant, though, in the modern gaming is that players are demanding more and more of the experiences that they choose. So it's kind of gone are the days of ship and forget it and move on to the next game. Now games are more focused on that living and evolving experience. Now, I'm going to say I'm not here to tell you how to design your games and do the loops and things. And then on the next slide, I'm going to have some opinions. But I do want to convey the importance of working with a partner who can support you with your living game development, and then your continued content development. Being able to focus most of your time into building compelling content will go a long way to fulfilling your game's potential. And working with Unity allows you to do that. Even if you're working with Unreal as well, or any other custom engine, we have solutions that integrate seamlessly into all of those different technologies. Here's some opinions on what you should be doing, though. So, evolving your game modes. When you launch games, you come out with a set of predefined game modes that you've designed throughout your game development. Then think about remixing them. Think about how you can remix those pieces of content or the game modes, or if you're adding a different type of game mode on top of one you already have. Think about how you can repurpose the content you have for testing future stuff. So limited time game modes, changing up the way that people are grouped together, all of those sort of things are great things to do post-launch to help you continue to find the fun and continue to develop that experience without the considerable investment of building a new title. So think of it like we're all talking about metaverse, Web3, all of these different things. You guys have been doing this for years. It's just going to be a different way that people consume that content. So from that perspective, if you are able to reutilize the stuff that you've already built, do it. Because if you're then going to maximize the investment that you've had on that game overall. That's enough from me, but at least for now. Time to hear the real stories. We have Dan from 11th Hour Games talking about how we've partnered together, but most importantly, you'll hear about their origin stories, the journeys they've been on, what challenges they've faced along the way, and the impact that they have on their planning as these different challenges appear through development and then their upcoming launches.
Great, thanks so much, guys. It's really interesting to hear how some of these other studios got here because our story at Last Epoch 11th Hour Games, these are kind of the paths we're treading towards, moving towards a more boring platform or more boring infrastructure because we've had a pretty interesting path getting up to here. So let me introduce myself first. I'm Daniel. I'm the production director at 11th Hour Games. We're a small, and I suppose now a medium-sized, fully remote studio. We're fully fervent action RPG fanatics. We're completely unified by our love of this genre. Our story of developing multiplayer comes from a long road of, learning, collaboration, growth, and honestly, a lot of mistakes. Many of the other GDC talks you may go to would tell you, don't make the game we did at all costs if possible. We all know, prep early, plan, scope, integrate multiplayer from the first day of your project. However, what do you do if most of your team has never shipped a game before and you don't have enough people or the budget to achieve your vision yet? The way we did it for us has been right, and I'm gonna break it down a little bit for you. I'll give you a bit more of our history instead, and some of our production challenges and how we've had to develop multiplayer, and of course what we're kind of doing now and what it's going to take to get over the finish line to our 1.0 release and beyond. So getting right into it, 11th Hour Games was founded by a Reddit post. Our CEO, Judd, went online and was inspired and decided to ask, hey, who wants to make an action RPG? So you can ask that question, and I assume you can all presume who might respond to those. You're probably not going to get a 15-year veteran back-end full-stack developer to respond. They already have jobs. They already make games. The response we got were fervent action RPG people who love the genre, who go deep, who explore things, and want to make this together. So everything we did was founded from a few social posts, and we started creating a demo of our game after hours to kind of get ourselves over to Kickstarter. And from that, we took that, launched it onto Steam Early Access in 2019. And since then, we've been performing a set of consistent releases nonstop, just keeping our heads down, focused on developing what we love. Since we were selling our game in early access, we started growing a fan base. We were focused on creating a healthy and inclusive remote tech structure because 11th Hour Games started before COVID. All we ever knew was remote development. It was not something we had to adjust to. It's just all we've ever understood. And we built everything, all of our infrastructure, our platform, the game release was all defined through that. And we focused this through strong player communication. When we began, we actually introduced each individual person to our Discord one at a time. That's not as tenable anymore because we have grown from 5 to 15 people working after hours to a team of 60 plus with 500,000 players who have purchased our early access game, and we're about 25,000 or so on our Discord, so it's a little harder to do now. That's a really exciting road to get here, and it came from developing a sense of consistency and community over a long period of time, and we're trying to get well on our way to being a little bit more boring on our back end side now. Let me talk really quick about Last Epoch itself. Last Epoch is a time travel inspired action RPG, with deep dungeon diving exploration, very thoughtful character creation, wide breadth of options, but most importantly for us, accessibility, modularity, and it's convenient and fast with an emphasis on a clear user experience and communication with our community. We tried our best to do all of this without constraining our design. We want you to be able to turn Last Epoch on Friday after a long day. Our vision, given how much we play this genre, and given the other games in this genre, we saw a clear path between the set of the other games that are out there. Grinding Gear Games, Path of Exile, great case study of an excellent platform. And there's a layer of complexity to their game where we respect and are a little bit more simple, with still the same amount of depth, and we also respect the accessibility and game feel of Diablo 3, and we saw something in there in the middle that we wanted to achieve. With all of that said, one small other thing we wanted to do was server authoritative multiplayer. By the way, that's very difficult to build. So with all of that, we want you to be able to play together. We want items to feel real and earned. We want competition to be valid, intense, and have integrity. So, getting through this process, now we're at the point we have now done 16 major releases on a 12-week content cycle. It's about 79 total patches, including hot fixes. So, our Kickstarter was a success, but it was modest in terms of our vision for a platform we have to create to make a game of this structure. Jay spoke a lot to the kinds of things we're working really hard at to build too. So, how do you do that? We had to keep making it. We had to develop. We had to be consistent. We had to make an experience that people would already tell their friends about. So we started making a single player game. With all that said, doing that often and that consistently kind of sounds like live operations. It's not quite, but it's the closest we could get to start approaching it. And, that kind of enabled us to develop a sense of mastery, direction, and discipline of how to achieve that live operations goal. We spent that time listening and learning to our players. We were ensuring people didn't have core issues. We were establishing structures like quality processes, building, bespoke continuous integration and delivery, and just how to actually properly deliver to players. And while we were doing that, we started asking questions. Hey, can we start on this multiplayer part? How is this going to work? How are we going to design it and integrate it and bring it in? While we were releasing, many other games came out in this environment that we were watching very carefully and learned from. Of course, we learned a lot from others in our genre. We've seen everything kind of happen in these last 4 years with games in our space, out of our space. But we learned a lot from games out of the space because we saw technical production structures that were somewhat similar to ours. You'll see up there Halo. What does Halo have to do with an isometric action RPG? And it's one of the better models for me to kind of try to understand because they had to release 2 different kinds of product over a period of time. They had something split in the production structure there that kind of is similar to what we've had to do. So we're very broad in the inspirations technically that we've tried to achieve. So like I said, lots of releases. All this came down to we've made a single player game. Our production structure gravitated towards this. So how do we build a multiplayer pipeline? So over time, we've consistently had a pattern of creating brand new content, improving our existing content with technical processes, and developing multiplayer. Which brings me to our key challenges moving forward. We need to launch our first game to 1.0. While we have actually been doing this quite a while now, very consistently, 1.0 is still very different. As you all know, as soon as you go online, it's like a brick wall. And what we're trying to do day by day is remove each brick at a time with partners like Multiplay, so that when we get there, it's just a hurdle and we understand that all well in advance. In addition to that, we need to keep releasing content right now, and we need to do it in a way that doesn't slow us down in the multiplayer creation process that we're performing right now. And then lastly, we need to unify all of these processes together onto the platform at the end of it. It's hard to speak to all of the technicals we have to deal with as a result of this. With the time that I have, I could probably talk on this deck for another talk or two about all the kind of technical hurdles we faced to overcome to get to this point. I might have to leave some to your imagination or questions after the fact. Please come talk to me too, and I'd be really happy to kind of break down some of the production side technicals of what we solved through this whole process. So instead, that takes us to where we're at today. Over the years, we've learned a lot. One thing that you'll learn from other talks is, what features do you need to own yourself? There's a lot of features that we have brought in to our own studio now that we see what our genre does, why it does it the way it does it, and why it's better for us to own it. Now, that is kind of a difficult thing to discover without making a number of decisions and mistakes, and just making choices and learning. But we've learned a lot here, and as a result, we're reducing our risk every single day. We're building team expertise and mastery in this regard. Another thing we need to do is, what products and services do we not need to own? We are only 60 to 70 people. We are not going to burgeon up. There are certain scopes of the live operations platform that may never conform to our internal team structure because we want to keep a very healthy and inclusive development culture where we did this from our rooms and from Reddits. We want to keep that magic. And part of that is we're building strong partnerships, with Multiplay, with some of our other partners I have listed up here as well. And the key there for us is that we have these strong partners of experts who we now can see, learn, and rely on, just like we did with the games we were watching the whole time. And while we're doing that, at the same time, internally, we're building up our team. We hire people with experience. We're now developing mastery over 4 years of how to do this, and we can start striving towards the same standards that partners such as Multiplay have. I could give, again, a longer talk on the technical process of all this and how we've been getting close to there, but I kind of wanted to share our story a bit more instead, and how partners like Multiplay have kind of helped us bring us together online and let us go back to focusing on what we care about, which is our absolute obsession with this genre and action RPGs in general. Thank you very much.
Well, they're great, aren't they? So thank you for your stories there. And I look forward to our continued partnership as well. And most importantly, from my perspective, the new games that you guys are making, because of, again, gamer, want to play all the games. But anyway, the thing, and you see my obsession with games because of that's the sword from Zelda. And it's dangerous to go alone, take this. What I'm talking about there is, from a Unity Game Services perspective, we're here to help you with the things that you need help with. We don't want to give you everything if you don't want it. We want to let you pick and choose the things you need. But if you do want the whole encompassing package, it's there for you to use as well. We presented you an engine originally as Unity to iterate and to innovate with. We've always talked about the democratization of game development. With UGS, we're building on that ethos. We're folding it into all of the different services that you need to bring your multiplayer experiences to your players. And just as gaming is always evolving, so is the way that we build. And we're truly excited to see how you will create your next experiences and as you embrace these offerings. And I know together that we can really empower your next success. I was supposed to tell you at the beginning, please turn off your phones, but no one's blown up, so we're good. But I would like to say as well, if you would like to know more, please come and visit us on the show floor. You can't miss us. You go down the stairs, we're on the left. Please come and say hello. And with that, I'd like to say thank you all for being here. Thank you for everyone that's joined us online. And we're open to questions now if you would have any of them. If you do, please come and use the microphones. And if not, thank you very much, everybody. Do we have any questions? We have one.
You have one so far. So my question is for Daniel. So I'm in the same particular stage of where I want to create a game, and so for your CEO that just came out and said, hey, we're wanting to make a game, and then you guys were working on it after working hours. Like, did he pay you guys, or was it like just for free, or how did that all work? Because I know, like for me, like I don't have the funds to even, well, not anymore, but like have the funds to pay people to start a prototype and go from there.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's a complex question. For us, we started building it ourselves, and as soon as there was anything financially viable, it went back to the team immediately, because a happy team who is healthy, building things together, building relationships is how you get to this point. So the second we had it, we did. We put it out. That's why we brought it to Kickstarter. We just, Judd had a vision, a clear goal, immediately look for that path towards that. And if I was to say to do anything else, is to have a clear vision of what technical decisions you need to make to get your whole vision there end to end, because that'll help you figure out like the cash flow and cost situation of that. So really the answer is have a vision, start early, create a plan towards that funding, look for it, and demonstrate to the people you build relationships and speak to that you have a plan to show them how you're going to build that technology and how that process is going to work. And that's how that's how you'll generate interest in those dialogues.
Thank you.
Come on, there must be someone else that has a question. There's whispering going on. I can hear you. No? Last call. Oh, maybe we have one.
Hello.
Hello there.
Hi. So I was wondering, as a student, we love to make big games like that, but we can't because that's overscoping. But is there any way possible to divide this kind of game in modules and start to try to make something very small scale to know what's going on behind all this stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that we're working towards as well from an accessibility perspective. We're looking at ways how we can do come and use it for free to begin with, that sort of free tier or a credit-based system in order to enable that sort of creativity. One thing I can say, though, is a lot of these products actually come with a free tier already. That's something on the Multiplay side that we're trying to fix right now in order to enable that creativity. But if you want to have a look at the platform, look at the technology, there are different ways of approaching it from the whole UGS stack, as it were. If you're looking at building a multiplayer experience, but you don't want to go in the cost of having servers to begin with, we have Relay and Lobby. Those are services that can be used to create a peer-to-peer version of your game first. Mm. And then as we're moving forward in the roadmap for this year, we're looking at ways how we can, and it scares me right now, but how we can literally flick a switch and promote your peer-to-peer game into a dedicated server type offering as well. We just need to make sure that we get that right. That's why it scares me right now, because I've never seen that achieved yet, and I'm really interested in how we will overcome that challenge. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was trying to make a couple of small multiplayer games, and of course, getting AWS is not one of the best thing for us. So I was trying Mirror or Photon and this kind of stuff. So that's thank you for integrating those two or your API and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a number of Photon. There's many versions of Photon, so I'm going to try and be careful, but the original Photon game server, Photon Pun, those type of things. We have the Photon game server version, the self-hosted one, integrated with Multiplay today, and we are scaling those customers as well.
Thank you so much.
No problem. If silence is golden, then I thank you all for attending. I thank you all for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful GDC.